Mayor Quan, thank you for your time. Help us shed light on the whole controversy regarding Citizens Police Review Board.
I don't think it's a controversy. The issue is, when I was on the city council, what we wanted was more civilian intake of complaints, because at the time, under the negotiated settlement agreement with the court, almost all the complaints had to go through the internal affairs of the police department, and many people felt, well, nobody wants to talk to a police officer about a complaint about the police. But ironically, that is the detail that's supposed to investigate those potential offenses. So what I think you've seen is that the monitor believes that you need to have intake people in the police department, and he actually thinks we need fewer than we've had, which is a good thing, because it used to be that we had to investigate a complaint as minor as, well, they came late, or, you know, and sometimes that's not the police officer's fault, it's because of all the different calls. And since I've been mayor, I've been working with the monitor to get the number of kinds of complaints that have to be investigated down to the really serious ones, right? So now that if someone says, well, they came really late, the officers working at 911 can look to see, are the calls stacked? And if they're not stacked, then they'll ask the officers, well, how come it took you so long to get there? But if they're stacked, they can say, okay, I made that complaint, calls were stacked at 18 or 20 the night, or like last night was stacked at about 84, right, citywide. And so that doesn't have to be investigated, but we'll note it. And so the question is, how many people do we need to take intake to begin with? And so I'm hoping that we'll work out a compromise where the number one goal is reached. That is, we're going to free up police officers to go back and be on the streets, and we'll have civilians take the complaints at IA and also at the Community Police Review Board. So what I think what you'll get is that you'll get some civilians staying within the internal affairs of the police department and some additional staffing over at the Community Police Review Board. So that's my goal, because in general, the number of complaints have come down.
That's good.
Right. And so we don't probably need as many people as we needed 2 years ago or 3 years ago when we actually passed that policy. So that's a good thing for me. Less complaints, and then the complaints that we're investigating are more serious complaints. And the cops are freed up to go back in the streets. So I'm going to be able to free up 8, maybe 9 officers to be back on the streets.
If we had more money, would this have been less of a problem?
If we'd had money, we would have done it a long time ago. But when we passed the policy, we didn't have money, because it's not like I could fire the police and hire civilians.
Right.
What we had to do is wait till we had enough money to hire the civilians. So this year we have a public safety budget that not only funds, last year I funded 2 police academies, and this year we funded 4 more. So we have 6 academies coming in a row, and I understand I'm going to get a new federal grant that's going to give me about another half of an academy.
Oh, congratulations.
So it's good for us, right? Because we can afford more and more police. But then I also hired we're about to hire about 30 civilians, so that we can free up police officers to do more police work. So, for instance, in burglaries, people get angry because they get home and then they have to wait for an officer to have time to take a burglary report. And the way the 911 works is that first you do crimes that threaten people over property, and then crimes in progress over crimes that are completed. So it may mean an officer won't get into your front door won't get at your front. Let me say it again. It may mean that you won't have an officer at your front door until like 1 or 2 o'clock at night, when they scare you to death, right? Right. So now with civilians, we can send out a civilian police tech that can take evidence, that can take the report. If there's none available at night, we can say, can we give you an appointment tomorrow, so that they can come and do that. Meanwhile, the police officer is not pulled off the streets. The police officer can continue to respond to calls for service.
Thank you so much, Ms. Mayor. I appreciate it. Thank you.